Viewers, welcome back to the third part of the December Anew series. I hope you enjoyed the last two episodes and the parts. Coming back to this part, we are going to cover corporate events, we are going to cover innovation, and we are going to cover trends. In the corporate event, one of the major things that happened and which I think which had a potential for disaster, but it was ably handled by RBI, was the Lakshmi Vilas Bank episode. So the DBS Bank from Singapore was able to quickly pitch in, even though it was a foreign bank with very less presence in India. They had immense interest to take over, and RBI collaborated with them to ensure that the LVB was quickly taken over by this bank. There has been some dissenting voices with respect to a feeling that LVB's assets have not been adequately taken into account. But any policy decision will always have its pluses and minuses. But this swift action by RBI, after its experience from Yes Bank, where it had a little bit of delay, we wouldn't say it was caught napping, but there was a little bit of delay. But this swift action to a large extent ensured that both the depositors and the account holders were able to have a quick, swift transition. Now, this is the second bank that on a bigger scale that we are having an RBI intervention to come in. Earlier we had the PMC banks, which was more of a cooperative bank where RBI couldn't do much because of its legal shortcomings with respect to the cooperative banking system, which has subsequently been attended by the law ministry, and the laws have been amended, and there is a possibility for RBI to even step in to cooperative banks now. The second development of significance is that Samsung has relocated its mobile and IT display unit from China to UP. Now, this actually has an investment layout of about 4,825 crores. So, we discussed sometime in the previous Anew series that a lot of companies, both Korean and Japanese, were trying to relocate companies, their production units from China to India, both with respect to de-risking a concentration in China, and also because of the increasing labor cost in China, and also to diversify and be closer to markets like India. Now, this is a welcome development. The third one is BSNL has been in partnership with Skylotech India, has announced a breakthrough in satellite-based narrow band Internet of Things. Now, this will connect BSNL satellite ground interface and interface infrastructure, and it will also be able to provide a pan-Indian coverage, including seas. Now, this can be of great use to railway networks, fishing vessels, and any connected vehicles across India. The advantage of a narrow band Internet of Things is it can even provide good internet coverage at low cost, and also ensure there's a long battery life for the receivers, and there is a high connection density possible. So I think this is how technologies are expected to pan out, where it's expected to reach into the nook and corners in real terms, and also to the lower and marginalized societies like fishermen and the truckers and other people, the small time businessmen, who also need this kind of a connectivity. Now we move on from the corporate events to innovation. One of the biggest innovations we have been seeing, which is having a phenomenal impact in the way things are rolling out, is with respect to drones. Now, there are two distinct things. One is of interest and one is of how things are going to be going forward. The Israeli farms have started using drones for monitoring cattle and sheep. Now, and this has replaced dogs and horses. So the large ranches initially, there were people who had to train their dogs and of course use the horses to reach and take care of the sheep. Now drones are being effectively used because now the drones have come up with long battery life. It has a camera, and even a small husband and wife couple will be able to take care of ranches and keep the flock united. The second major development, which is of great significance both with respect from a defense perspective and of things to come, that in the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, drones guided by satellite were used by Azerbaijan to defeat Armenia. Now, this could mean the traditional warfare methods of using an armored core or a hand-to-hand combats between soldiers looks like progressively will be a thing of the past. Now, there are a lot of video footage available in the social media where you will be able to see how with pinpoint accuracy the trenches dug by the Armenian soldiers are being targeted, and drones with loaded ammunitions use the GPS location to just go lock on and go and destroy those bunkers. Therefore, a lot of armies now have started thinking on these lines, including the Indian Air Force chief sometime back. He has told very, categorically that India is seriously considering to use. They have been closely monitoring this Armenia versus Azerbaijan war, and I think this is the way things are going to happen. We even saw some time back one of the leaders being targeted using a drone. So the drones as a technology has really started encompassing a lot of areas of our life. You will be able to see that drones are used for video coverage in marriages, drones are used to monitor crowd during festivities, and now drones are being extensively used for defense and war. The second technology of great importance is artificial intelligence. Now, this is once again, this happens from the shadow world, in the sense that an Iranian nuclear scientist whose name was Mr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was shot dead using a machine gun which was mounted on a Nissan pickup, and which fired 13 rounds of bullets on him. Now, this particular scientist is a nuclear scientist from Iran, and is always surrounded by the IRA, which is the Iranian Iranian Revolutionary Army, which provides the security to the scientist. And his wife was just 25 centimeters away, but these 13 bullets were able to fire exactly at that scientist, because it used two technologies. It used the artificial intelligence technology and the facial recognition software to focus on that scientist, and it was able to use a satellite and an advanced camera. So an advanced camera was focusing or taking pictures, and then the facial recognition software using artificial intelligence was used, and a command from a satellite was given to the machine gun mounted on a Nissan, and then these shots were fired and he was gone. So once again, you're going to see how the future of warfare, technologies, sabotage and espionage is going to happen. It's all going to be based on technology. So you may even not have a person to prosecute. So we had this incidents in India where Kasab was caught, and then there was a long trial. And when you use this kind of technology, you may not even have a person to produce in the court and to conduct a trial. So this is where technology is going forward as we move forward. The second innovation, which is slightly coming to the civilian side, we had RBI imposing some penalties on HDFC Bank because its service went down a couple of occasions. Now, ICICI was quickly able to come out and announce to the world that it has its own iMobile app, and it was able to completely make it available for even the customers of other banks. So what ICICI did was, it had its flagship app and it used it to woo the rival customers by using UPI as an interface. So I have an account with ICICI and I use their apps, very friendly, but now allowing it to be used by other bank customers is suddenly taking the competition to the next level. And this also could be the future for banking aggregators to come up. So competition is stiff, and people who are able to use the technology are going to be the future winners. Another very interesting development, we have heard that 3D was supposed to really change the way the world is going to function, but it was always a pipe dream which had really not taken place, though in certain critical areas like dental and dentistry, and you're creating the crowns and other things, the 3D technology was being used. But recently there was a company called Vasta, which is an IIT Chennai alumni startup, which had used a 3D printing technology to complete a building in 3 weeks time at half the cost, and it has used its own proprietary compound. Now this could actually be a very welcome development, because it could cut down the pollution due to construction. It could also be able to reduce the cost. It would be able to reduce the construction time, and more importantly, it will be able to save our rivers from being mined for sands. This development, if it comes through, I think it will move on to automobile component and a whole lot of manufacturing segments. So I believe that the technology of 3D printing is coming of age, and we are so happy that's happening in Indian shores as well. We now move on to trends. The international trends have been interesting. One of the big trends has been that the UK government has decided to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. It's just not that it is making a statement, it is also intending to spend nearly £12 billion to put up an infrastructure for electric mobility. Nearly £3 billion will be spent on putting charging points in both homes and streets. and nearly 582 million pounds will be spent in grants for producing and buying such vehicles, and another 500 million pounds will be spent in the next 4 years for development and production of EV batteries. Now, the last thing where the UK government is talking of producing EV batteries, I think there could be a good possibility for India to collaborate with UK and maybe jointly develop and participate in the research, because India also on a strategic level and on a futuristic level wants to reduce its use of the fuel, the normal fuel that we have been using so far, which is taken from crude oil and distilled and used as petrol, diesel and aviation turbine fuel. It wants to reduce its consumption, and it also has given a commitment on the Paris Climate Accord to reduce its pollutions, which is predominantly coming from industries and the vehicle. Viewers, we are going to take a break right now, and we are going to be back with you for the next episode or next part of the same Anew series. We are going to continue with the trends. We are going to see how the impact of these trends is going to play out on the businesses. Stay connected and please be part of this journey. Thank you so much.